we've been endeavoring to understand the nature of emptiness, but out of our endeavors arose a statement that we can't begin to understand the nature of emptiness until we abide in state of Satchitananda, or existence knowledge of this. And out of this arose the questions, how do we know we're in this state of Satchitananda, and what is it that binds these together seamlessly for us? But the question still remains, the understanding of the nature of emptiness. And that remains our focal point. With Divine Mother, she would often say, be in the world, but not of the world. But then over the years she updated that because she wanted to appear a little bit modern. So she used to say, be the screen and not the movie. There was a young boy, about 11 years old, by the name of Yusuf. Now Yusuf lived in a village high in the mountains with his Jewish mother and father and grandmother. Now times were very hard. There was very little to eat, so their staple diet was just beans and a few vegetables out of the garden. But it came to a festival day, and a little lamb was killed, and the mother was in the kitchen cooking a stew. Well, Yusuf could hardly stand it. His mouth was watering. He was salivating with the thought of this stew. The smell wafted through the house. It was so wonderful. He could hardly wait. And then all of a sudden there was a scream from the kitchen. His mother shouting. So everyone ran to the kitchen to find out what was going on. The most dreadful thing had happened. She'd used the spoon that was used to stir the milk, to stir the stew. And in Jewish tradition, this was an absolute no-no. You did not mix the milk with the meat. Well, it was a dreadful dilemma. What were they to do? And Yusuf was biting his fingernails saying, don't throw out the stew, don't throw out the stew. So it was decided that Yusuf himself suggested, I'll go to the rabbi and ask the rabbi for advice. So this was agreed upon, and Yusuf ran all the way, 2 kilometers, to the rabbi's house and presented the story to the rabbi's wife, breathlessly. Well, she went, tut, 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 tut. Oh, this is a very difficult problem. You'll have to seek the advice of the rabbi about this. So she went to call the rabbi who was having his sleep. And he came out sleepy-eyed, doing up his trousers. And Yusuf went through the story again. Well, the rabbi ponderously asked Yusuf, what color was the spoon? What direction was it facing in? And Yusuf was thinking to himself, that is absolutely useless and stupid questions. And then after hearing all of this, the rabbi said, well, this is a very difficult problem. How old are you? And Yusuf said, I'm 11. Oh, said the rabbi, you're too young, you're not even a man yet. We can't deal with this problem. I'll have to speak to your mother and father. So Yusuf took leave of the rabbi and ran all the way back to his house. And there they were all waiting for him. What did the rabbi say? What did the rabbi say? And Yusuf stood up as bold as brass and said, the rabbi said, throw out the spoon and eat the stew.
Smart boy, Yusuf.
And there's another little story about another time when there was, you know, things were very tough in the kingdom and people were starving. And it so happened that the Sultan was ill. But after about 30 days, he got better. And an old woman decided that she'd go and congratulate the Queen on the Sultan's being returned to good health. So she went to the palace and was brought into the harem where all the Queen and the entourage of women were, and she congratulated the Queen on having her husband's health being restored. But as it happened, the old woman noticed that there were a lot of geese outside the harem window. And the old woman had a thought. So she said to the Queen, "Can your geese talk?" And the Queen said, "No." The old woman said, "Well," she said, "if you give me your geese for 60 days, I can have them speaking 7 different languages." But of course I'll need flour, and I'll need sugar, and I'll need grain, and I'll need to feed them while I'm taking care of them. Well, the Queen provided all of these things, and the old woman took the geese back to her house, and after the 60 days, she came back to the Queen, and she said, "Oh," she said, "I don't know about these geese of yours." She said, I've been beating them, I've been scolding them for 60 days, and all they can say is tisk, 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 tisk. The princess has a lover. And the Queen said, oh, kill the geese. Keep them and kill the geese. So the old woman had 20 geese. She fed on the fat of the land, and she even was able to provide a feast for her own son's wedding, as it so happened. And there's a little story about that King Akbar and Birbal, you know, this comic character. And one day, a learned but very arrogant pundit came to the palace and said to King Akbar, "I'd like to test the intelligence of your advisors. Would you give me permission?" And King Akbar said, "Yes, of course." So he lined up all his advisors, which of course included Birbal, and invited the pundit to bring about his test. Well, the pundit brought out a bowl which was covered in a cloth, and he put it down on the floor, and he said to the advisor, "I want you to tell me what's in the bowl." So he went from one to the other, and each one of the answers, he said, "No, wrong, wrong, wrong." And then it came to Birbal's turn, and the pundit invited Birbal to answer, but instead of answering, Birbal went over, lifted the cloth off the bowl and said, "It's empty." The pundit said, "Hey, I asked you the question. You're not supposed to go and take the cloth off the bowl." And Birbal said, "You said nothing about taking the cloth off the bowl. You only asked the question, what was in the bowl?" So with his tail between his legs, so to speak, the pundit left the palace in shame. And finally, in a little more serious tone, there is that little story about the 2 Zen masters. One was called Master Chao and the other Master Chan. And Master Chao said to Master Chan, Master, tell me, how do you use your mind to follow the way, the Zen way?" And the Master said, "What do you mean? I don't even have a mind. What are you talking about?" And the other Master said, "But you gather people around you and you teach them the sutras and you teach them the Dharma. How can you say that you don't have a mind?" The Master said, "What are you talking about? How can I gather people around me? I don't even have a place to stay. The Master said, Master, you're lying. Huh? And they said, how can I be lying when I don't even have a mouth? The other one pondered for a while, and he said, are you meaning to tell me that we have to deny all of life? No, 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 said the other master. But we have to deny the false as well as the true. So when we hear these three little stories, and we know the ways of the mind, the fickleness, indicated so well in these three little stories, which brings together our awareness of these three states, our street smarts and our intuition, and this state of subjectivity, oneness and interrelatedness that we have with life. But we also see its ephemeralness, if that's a word. Can you grasp anything that's true? Truth? So where does it leave us? It does leave us in this place where we've described as the gateless gate. Because in arriving at a state of Satchitananda, where these three levels of life become seamless, we can't get a grasp on anything. On that nitty-gritty level, we can't find truth. We can talk to 1 million people. We can read 100 newspapers. We're not going to grab anything that's going to be able to be a foundation of truth for us. Isn't it so? Where is it to be found? Then on our level of intuition, of course, we already have proven that what can be something that seemed quite valid 5 minutes ago is not valid 5 minutes later. And in this level of oneness, where are the words that are left? Compassion and pity and empathy and love. And what meaning do they have for us in this, when we put them together in these contexts? So we have no foundations. We have no basis on any of these three levels. Where does it leave us? Smack bang at the gateless gate. The threshold of where we can begin to understand the nature of emptiness. Is that where we are? And as was said the other day, in our endeavors to have a gleaning of what this state is, when we know that in this state we've already lost ourselves, so there's no self to make any suppositions about what it is that's occurring in someone else, they're kind of painted you into a corner, don't they? Well, that was the intention anyway. Because in observing this, in trying to get a grip on it, because we've already arrived at that state, we don't have the possibility. So again, if we come back to this question, what is it that binds these three levels of life together for us? We get an idea. What is it that binds these three states together for us when we're in the moment with every experience and reality of life? I'm not going to tell you. Oh.
And is it the emptiness that binds me? Because when you're
Yeah, but explain it more. What is it that's there for us, or not there for us, when these three are present in our life?
there's no life, so there's no separation, so we don't even divide those things.
Of course. So what is it about you? What is it about you when we're in this state? No self. No self. Where are you in this state?
You're not yourself.
You're not there. There's no I. Is there? Where's the I in the state of Satchitananda? When those three are together seamlessly in the moment. Where is there an I? Can you point to the self and say, I'm relating to life, I'm experiencing this, or I'm experiencing... It must go on, isn't it so? So what is it that binds it together?
Pure awareness.
You're right. Pure awareness, or no self. Because when you take away the self, that's all that's left as life. Isn't it so? So now we put that together, what's the next thing?
Push through it. It doesn't exist.
Well, that's why it's called the gateless gate, isn't it? But having acknowledged that, we already are through that aperture, if indeed we can call it that. So, moving right along. Thanks for coming to Wendy Hollow.